one of the reasons why I'm so excited to do the show today, because I really want to learn more about Filipino-American history. And as I realized only last year, Filipino history is different from Filipino-American history. That's why today on the show we're going to try to learn more about that, especially learn about the stories of our kababayans in Delano, California, coming from somebody who lived there and who still lives there. Roger Gadiano, hello and welcome to Kababayan LA.
Well, thank you.
Let's first talk about your experiences living in Delano, California. How was it like when you first moved there? 1950s?
1954, yeah.
Yes.
Well, the Delano was basically a farming town, and it was just, there were a lot of Manongs that lived in labor camps. There was labor camps everywhere, and it ran from Bakersfield all the way to Fresno.
How difficult was it, the living condition in those labor camps?
Oh, pretty hard, because the men lived in small rooms. It wasn't squalor, but there were small rooms, and the baths were communal, the restrooms were communal, and they all ate in one central kitchen, and the rooms were tiny, and some of the Manos lived there for years, decades, 20, 25 years. And
where did they come from? Straight from the Philippines?
yeah, some came straight from the Philippines, and a lot of them, the Manos came, they were recruited to work in the sugar plantations, the pineapple plantations in Hawaii, and from there they went to California. And they tried jobs in the city as busboys and stuff like that, butlers and cooks and dishwashers. But a lot of them managed to end up in the valley. And there's plenty of Filipinos in Delano and Salinas and Stockton. The original Manongs were there.
Right. Now, when you first came here, you didn't come as a laborer. You were actually 7 years old.
Yeah, I was 7. My dad was a veteran of the Second War.
Right.
He was there with MacArthur when Corregidor fell. And he was a POW, which he never got paid for. But after being a veteran...
Sorry about that. That's a fight that our veterans are still...
Yeah. But anyway, they had the option to be a citizen. So he tried farming back with at my mother's place in Leyte. But that didn't work out. So he said, let's go to America. So he took all the family.
How was it like for somebody like you at 7 years old growing up in Delano, which was, as you say, mestizo town?
Yeah, it was tough because when I first came in, they didn't have bilingual programs.
Yeah.
So I didn't know any English. I didn't know any Spanish. I only knew Bisaya and Tagalog.
You were in trouble.
Oh, heck
Did
yeah.
you get picked on?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, boy, for your language, for your accent, for the color of your skin?
Well, not that, because we all look alike. I grew up with a bunch of mestizos and mestizas and Mexicans.
Okay.
See, we were on the poor side of Delano. It was east side, west side. And there was only one white kid in school. Everybody was brown and black. So I actually, other than not being able to speak English and not being Americanized at an early age, I adapted rather well. But they didn't have any programs for...
So how did you manage?
I just had to learn.
You had to learn?
I had to learn.
How about for your mom, raising you?
It was tough. She understood that I got in trouble in L.A. When it first came. We landed in San Francisco, went to L.A., went to Immaculate Heart in Santa Monica, actually. And they laughed at me. The sisters are mad at me because they said genuflect. I had no idea what that meant.
Exactly?
Well, just to kneel and make the... I had no idea, and they got mad at me. So I threw a tantrum, and they stuffed me in the closet. And
They did?
Yeah.
For how long were you in the closet?
For about an hour, until I beat the door down.
Oh.
But anyway, I went home. I told my mother the story, and they made a pact between my mother and my dad that they weren't going to speak Filipino to me anymore because I had to learn English.
Right.
So then we moved to Delano because my uncle lived there.
Now, see, in Delano, it's mestizo town, so intermarriages. But we hear that intermarriages were illegal, were the taboos of the society.
Oh, yeah. Back then it was. Minorities are taboos. We were all farm workers. I would say 95% of the Filipinos have worked in the fields or farm-related.
Well, by the way, while we're talking about that, the clips that you're seeing now are clips from Delano in the 1950s.
Exactly. Those are nice cars.
How do you feel when you see those clips?
That's what Delano looked like.
Happy memories, sad memories, bittersweet.
You know, when you're a kid, you take it all in. There were some bad memories. Absolutely.
What were those?
Not being able to speak. Oh, there's my family. That's early 60s. I would say about 1960, 61.
Is it true they say, you know, aside from the language barrier, there are signs at some establishments saying no dogs and Filipinos allowed? Is that true?
Yeah, that happened in Stockton. That happened in the bigger cities. Filipinos aren't exactly welcomed.
Right.
We were brought here to be a labor force, and they didn't respect us for being men or for your intelligence or anything like that.
But at the time, did you realize that? At what age did you realize that you weren't welcome? Right at the onset, or did you, I mean,
Well,
you're a kid, 7 years old, you don't have an idea of, you know, what a Filipino is, you're a Filipino, what does that entail, what does that connote?
Well, when I was in Immaculate Heart, I knew I didn't fit.
How old were you then?
7. And I didn't know any English, and they expected me to act like an American.
Right.
And if you don't know the language, you're in trouble.
Exactly.
And when the sisters were mean. So of course that's not they're that way. But I knew then I was in trouble. So I knew then that I had to improve myself, or otherwise, because there was no bilingual program.
Right. What about, it was intermarriages, so there were Mexicans in the town also, there were African. You were all going through the same experience of being isolated, I would assume, but no?
Well, yeah, in Delano, the town was segregated. There was the browns, blacks lived on one side, the west side, and the whites, and the rich lived on the east side.
Oh.
And then there were the farmers, and you knew it.
And the theaters were segregated too, you said?
Yeah, up until the late 50s.
So if a couple, if a white girl married a Filipino, then the white girl would have to sit
with the Filipinos.
Oh.
They couldn't sit with their own kind.
Oh.
That's just the nature of the town. That's how it was. And to this day, you know, they still talk about those days.
See, you know, when we talk about our history, when we go back, we can't help but bring something with us to the present. But also at the same time, when we look back at, you know, all the struggles, we think about what we learned then and what can we use now and what still needs to be improved now. Do you have those thoughts, and what are those?
Oh, yeah, I knew that as upcoming new generation that we needed to build Filipino pride. So I helped organize Philippine Week in Delano in 1975 after I got back from Vietnam. And it was really a big hit because it's still it's history today. It's 36 years that they're having it. And it brought some pride to the community. And the Filipinos now, they've excelled in sports, in academics, and in the community.
Everywhere, in entertainment, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think also, aside from the fact that building pride, do you agree, we also need to be more inclusive? There are movements now that are trying to unite the Asian community, not just Filipino community.
Yeah, I think that we have common issues amongst all Asian groups, and I think we should unite in many causes.
And one thing's for sure, we need more time for this. We hope to have you back, and we hope to be able to visit you also in Delano. We'll try to work on that. But for now, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gino.
When we talk about including the Asians, when we return, some of our Asian brothers will be talking to us about the typhoon benefits. Don't go away.